Because I knew if I had one drag, I would be up to a pack a day in moments. So I didn't even negotiate with the idea of smoking. It was not even on my radar screen. So let's say, for example, that you decide the new habit you're going to create is you're not going to badmouth people anymore. You really want to grow out of that nasty habit and shut your mouth instead of saying something nasty. So you're out with a bunch of friends and you're feeling, it's really fun. All your friends are gossiping and you've got this super juicy piece of gossip. Let's say that some lady named Sharon stole your ex-boyfriend from you, and Sharon just got pulled over for DUI. Now, how good would that feel to talk about Sharon's DUI to all your friends and tear her down and put yourself up and yada yada, right? That would feel good for probably, 5-10 minutes. And then you wouldn't feel so good because you broke your habit. You did something that is really not nice, and ultimately it does not feel good. So when you are not available to negotiate, you get that instant rush, right? Like it's this instant, just like, oh my God, that's going to feel so good. This is so juicy. You feel that come up, and then you're like, there it is. I'm not negotiating. I am not the kind of person who talks badly about people. And you literally shift your focus onto something else. You just wipe it right off the slate. So what this also helps you do is you no longer participate in the feeling that I was just talking about, that sort of rush that comes, I call it the false benefits of our bad habits. Like they're there and they're real and that's a real feeling, but it's a false benefit. It doesn't really feel great. So you're not nurturing that feeling. You're nurturing the higher frequency feeling of staying with your habit and doing something that is more true to the kind of person you really are. Okay, so this is a really big one, the not negotiating. And then the final thing we're going to talk about is setting yourself up for success. So being conscious about what it's going to take to create this habit. A lot of times we want to change ourselves, but we continue, let's say in the case of bad-mouthing Sharon, hanging out with friends who gossip a lot. If you don't want to be gossiping, maybe you don't hang out with those friends so much. It's going to be a lot harder, especially in the beginning, to build up that muscle of this new habit when you're surrounding yourself with the same kinds of people. So consciously noticing that. It doesn't mean you have to ditch all your old friends, but maybe it means that you make the conscious effort to find new ones, right? Or if you're trying to lose weight, maybe you don't keep 5 pints of ice cream in the freezer. That's really not setting yourself up for success. You take those pints out and maybe you go out for ice cream once in a while as a treat. So it's just, it sounds very simple, but we tend to very unconsciously go through our lives, right? Habits, zombie. Big part of this course is becoming aware of all of these little specific details that are so simple to shift and will make a huge, big, fat difference in your life. Okay? So probably the top 3 most common things I hear from people when we discuss changing their habits is, I have no willpower. I'm never going to pull this off. Okay, that is one of the biggest crowd pleasers when it comes to reasons why not. So the beautiful thing about willpower is you can learn it and you can also strengthen it. It is a muscle. So it's not that you don't have willpower, it just may mean that your willpower muscle is kind of flabby and out of shape. So we are going to get you in shape in the willpower department during this course. Okay? Another big myth around creating new habits is you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I've been doing it this way my entire life. I ain't changing anytime soon. People change all of the time. And when you make the decision to change and decide you're not going to negotiate anymore, it is on. So that is a complete false belief, and we are going to work on that as well. And the third thing is, the third whining complaint I usually get about changing habits is that I've tried this a million times and it hasn't worked. I'm terrified. I'm going to drop the ball. So we're going to put things into place over the next 20 days that are really going to help you anchor in these decisions and keep you from dropping the ball. People do it all the time. And here's the beautiful thing. It's really not that hard. Okay? It's actually easier to focus on changing your habits than living a life full of mediocrity and wondering why you can't get your act together. Trust me, I did it for years. It's much easier when you change your habits. Alrighty, so now we are going to get to today's worksheet. And I just want you to know that today is probably the most labor-intensive of all the days. It not probably is, it definitely is. So don't freak out that you're going to have to do all this work every single day. And it's honestly not even that much work today. But I just want to go through today's tasks with you to make sure that you know what you are doing. All right? So the first thing on today's worksheet is to pick the habit that you want to pick. And be really specific with this. So instead of saying, I want to lose some weight, how much weight do you want to lose? Okay? If you say, I want to get better at making money, set a specific amount of money that you desire to make. Okay? So the more specific you are, the more successful you will be. It may sound like a no-brainer, but I can't tell you how many times people wonder why they don't succeed at things, and it's because they haven't set specific goals. Specifics truly are the key to freedom, and you're going to see that in the next 20 days, how true that is and how much we all tend to forget about that. Okay, the second thing on the worksheet is to explain why. Why do you either want this habit, or why do you want to live without the habit you're getting rid of? And when you write down your why, it's got to be loaded with just this fire. Why do I want this? Like, I want you not to just write, like, I want to quit smoking because I don't want to stink anymore. There has to be, it's got to be just like a visceral, I mean, and if you really hate stinking and that pulls up a lot of emotion in you, that's awesome. But whatever it is that you write down, I want it to have some kind of emotional response. This is really important because the why is kind of the rock that is holding your desire in place to get rid of this habit or to create the new one. The third thing you're going to do is you're going to write in the present tense, as if it already exists, a day in the life. A day in your life as if this habit already happened. You are now the person who has embodied this habit, and this is what your life looks like. So go to town on it, write it in the present tense, write lots of specifics about what your environment looks like, the people you hang out with are like, the feelings you have are like. It really, have fun with this and take a while. And my suggestion is when you're writing, at the moment that you feel like stopping, push yourself for at least 5 more minutes, because that's usually where the juicy stuff comes in. We tend to write from our heads in the beginning, which is fine, we love our heads, but we want this to be a visceral experience. So your head sort of just like splats it all out on the page, and they're like, great, I'm done. But we want this to be a really heartfelt, juicy thing. So let your head have its say, and then push past and keep writing for 5 or 10 more minutes. All right. You are going to take this day in the life. This is the 4th exercise here. You're going to take your day in the life, and you are going to shorten it into what we call your personal manifesto. And you're going to shorten it so that you can write it every single day for the next 20 days, okay? So here is what your personal manifesto is going to look kind of like. You are going to say, I'm so grateful I live in a cigarette-free life, work out every day, don't talk badly about people, whatever your thing is. I'm so grateful I blank. It makes me feel, what is that feeling you've got? And improves my life because I now sleep better, have more energy, and in control of my life, love the way I look in my clothes, whatever your thing is. I love myself, I love my life, I am a badass salesperson, health nut, whatever. Okay? So you fill that out for yourself, and again, make it full of emotion and super duper juicy, and we're going to be using this throughout the rest of the course. That is your personal manifesto. The 5th thing you are going to do is you are going to write down your top 10 limiting beliefs that have kept you from making this habit, okay? So this is going to do 2 things. It's going to help you create the artillery to head them off at the pass, because it's very hard to set yourself up for success when it comes to kicking your excuses to the curb if you're not really aware of what they are, because then they can ambush you. You want to ambush them. So awareness is the key to freedom. Write down the top 10. And it's also going to allow you to look at them so that you can question them and break them down and then create more helpful stories that will help you create the life you desire to create. Okay? Number 6, you are going to create your, what I call, spiritual gym practice. What are you going to do to anchor in more high-frequency beliefs